Chieftain Alhaji Audi Mohammed. Barrister Dele Farotimi is also sitting. Next to him, Val Ozibo and Sarah. Sarah, you will forgive me, Ibrahim. Next to her is Ambassador Joe Keshi, and lastly is Isaac Balami, who is a Northeast coordinator and deputy campaign manager. So, gentlemen, you're welcome too. All right. So, are we all set now? Okay. All right.
It's like
I can't see
Yeah,
myself.
it has been in the hall for ages. Are you set? Yeah, it's in. You have one. Okay. In any case, I mean, you will join us whenever you are ready. So let me now invite the Director General of the Obi Dati Campaign Council, Balogun Akiyoshutoku, to address you.
Thank you. First, may I crave your indulgence to let us spare a moment of silence in the memory of our senatorial candidate, Nunubu East, who was murdered about a week ago. May his soul rest in peace. Well, the array of dignitaries that are on this table should commensurately convey the importance, the gravity of what we are about to say. They will not be here if it were not of so much significance. And we wish to place on record the following. Be no less the beneficiary of a unique and internationally acclaimed democratic transfer of power. The President, General Muhammadu Buhari, pledged to Nigerians free and fair elections with the passage of the new Electoral Act, and indeed has repeated this promise multiple times. The INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, also came before Nigerians and the global community to promise free and fair elections, and severally reiterated its readiness to conduct the elections. What has become glaring is that none of these promises have been kept. All the promises made about deploying a fail-safe system anchored on BVAS technology were broken. The internet and social media is awash with videos and photographic evidences of the pervasive violence and attacks that were visited on Nigerians, with some attacks still going on across the country as we speak. The evidence of collusion between INEC and the security forces to subvert the will of the people are too numerous to be detailed here. The INEC guidelines on the conduct of the elections were extensively breached, and INEC has evidently been very reluctant to make the necessary adjustment to remedy the situation. Contrary to the publicly advertised guidelines for the conduct of the elections, we are convinced that the processes leading to the results have been severely compromised. Consequently, we regret to state that we've lost confidence in the results being collated and being announced. Nigerians have inundated us with calls and protests over INEC's non-compliance with provisions of the electoral guidelines and the obvious manipulations of the election results. We hereby call on INEC to suspend further announcement of the results and follow its own guidelines or completely cancel the entire election and make plans for another election with strict compliance with the stipulated laws and guidelines. We ask that the international community to walk their talk in Nigeria and cease to conduct the multiple evils being perpetrated in our country by the rulers of Nigeria. There cannot be one standard for Nigeria and another for the rest of the world. Indeed, we recall a comparable period in 2015 when the Secretary of State, American Secretary of State, Mr. John Kerry, precisely a time like this, was breathing down on the neck of the electoral agency and the then president to do the right thing. We expect the same obligation and responsibility at this period. We thank Nigerians for their support for our candidates, and we assure you all that your mandates shall not be surrendered to a desperate gaggle of failed rulers who have brought nothing but ruination on our dear country. We urge that Nigerians remain peaceful and law-abiding, whilst assured that we are doing everything within the law to protect your sacred mandate. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mr. DG. We will now take a few questions. So if you raise your hands. Okay. Let me start from that end. You can just come close and ask your question.
Good afternoon, DG sir. Abraham Akimala is my name, and I report for Nigeria Info Wazobia FM. You just made a prayer to the electoral umpire. If your prayer is not answered and INEC decided to go ahead with the collation and the announcement of the results, what do you plan to do next? And secondly, I am very sure you have polling agents in all the polling units. Why not get the results from your agents and do a comparison with whatever INEC is announcing, and then you can take the next step, which is, of course, approach the court. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me call. Okay.
Well, I'll take your second question first. It is precisely what you have said that has resulted in what we are doing now. We've made such comparison, and they are substantial enough to compel us to make this statement this afternoon. With regards to what we shall do, if INEC is heedless of what we are saying here, I think the natural progression is to call for the cancellation of the results. We expect that what we are saying now will be taken into consideration. Do a comprehensive review of the exercise to the satisfaction of the Nigerian public, the political party, and then on the basis of that, a request will then decide whether it makes sense to continue or not. If what was discovered was substantially not in compliance with the tenets of free and fair election, of course, we request that it should be cancelled, like any reasonable member of the public would do.
Okay.
Good afternoon, please. My name is Kingsley from the Daily Independent newspapers. Earlier on, we saw on the live TV the representative of the PDP speaking at the top of his voice at the ICC, the Collation Center. It reminds us of what happened in 2015 when Rubebe, acted same script. My question to you will be, number one, is the Labour Party working hand in hand with any party towards ensuring that the alleged irregularities are corrected? That's one. Then number two, earlier on, your party had said that INEC and security agencies should not hold it responsible if Nigerians storm the streets? I would like you to clarify on that.
Well, both questions that you asked are very self-evident, and the answer to the first question you raised as to whether we support what essentially we are saying here and what the other parties are saying, the answer to that is yes. Secondly, of course, is that whatever it is that we cannot be held responsible, largely we owe a sense of responsibility to do what we have done, to do what the law requires us to do. Now, we are the victims. Those who are culpable of, as regards to what is going on, the wrongs that are being perpetrated, those questions should be addressed to them. When we have a government in this country, and the president who ultimately bears responsibility for the conduct of the electoral agency, those are the people you should put pressure on. If you believe, and I believe that every monitoring or most civil society organizations have observed that this election has been substantially marred, and probably is trending towards becoming the most horrible in the history of elections in Nigeria. So it is not up to us. We are not going to incite anybody to violence. Like, we did not incite people to go and vote. They went on their own volition to vote. They are intelligent people. They make up their actions on what they think is in their best interest. We do not need to incite or instigate people who waited hours to cast their vote under sun and in the rain to know what to do. Those who should be held responsible are those who are perpetrating what can precipitate the kind of reaction you are suggesting.
Okay. Okay. The gentleman from AFP.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is John Okunomi from AFP. I'm taking us away from this a bit. I just want to ask for your reaction towards your winning of Lagos State. Thank you, sir.
Our reaction?
Yeah, thank you, sir. It's a party.
That is an indication of what the election, what the credibility, the kind of results that you should expect from a credibly conducted free and fair election. And even at that, that is what the result that you have seen is a minimal representation of what was the actual or represented the victory. From the results that were already in public custody, aside from every polling booth, had indicated a very wide and emphatic margin of victory. So what you are even witnessing, right, is far from the reality of what happened. The margin of victory is more emphatic than that. So it's better. What they've done, is the irreducible minimum you can expect them to do. But at the same time, it's not as if we believe that that is a true representation of the will of the electorate of Lagos. We know, and our agents know, and the INEC knows, and the Nigerian public knows, that the margin of victory is substantially more than what was reported.
Okay, so ask your question. Introduce yourself and ask your question.
Right. Francis from Punch Newspapers. DG, based on the earlier questions he asked, earlier, the APC Presidential Campaign Council also raised an alarm that when you won Lagos, it appears to be a free and fair election. But when the results appears not to be going your way, you you started playing the victim, that you are gradually setting the tone for another NSAS coming. And Nigerians are not actually prepared for that. I don't know what your reaction will be to this. Like I said earlier, it's a follow-up to what another colleague said.
Hello? What you said, you didn't take what I said earlier into context or consideration. We did not say that that result represented the true will of the people. You recall moments ago. That is far lower, the figures of the margin of victory that was attributed to us was far less than the reality. So nobody said if APC wants to talk anything to itself, it's free to do so. We never said that that is a true reflection. We never, and I said so a while, minutes ago, that the margin of victory, the true expression of the will of the people of Lagos State, was more emphatically delivered than what was reported. And what was the, okay, let me share the mic with
Okay. You see, the Nigerian state, and particularly the Lagos state government, because of its direct complicity in the NSAS murders, or shall I say massacre, always raises the specter of NSAS with the intention of blackmailing aggrieved persons into silence. But what you must understand is that throughout the NSAS, because I'm now forced to defend NSAS before responding to you, none of the protesters who are completely unharmed and peaceful ever visited violence on anybody. It was the Nigerian state ferrying thugs around in Prado jets. It was Lagos state government ferrying thugs around in state-owned buses. So when they talk about violence, they should be careful about blackmailing peaceful protesters. That is as far as NSAS is concerned. When you now speak specifically to the subject of the ongoing electoral robbery, we don't need to incite anybody. Nigerians came out in record numbers, the way they haven't come out since 30 years ago. The last time there was that level of turnout was in 1993. And they are currently engaged in electoral fraud. It's not enough to steal our commonwealth. They have to discount our citizenship and take away our electoral rights. So they can continue raising the specter of NSAS all they care. That is completely their own problem. It is for them to maintain peace on the street. We have only called for calm at this conference. We have not at any point in time sought to exacerbate things. They actually want us to be fighting. And we are not interested in fighting, and we urge Nigerians to be calm. When a thief steals more than it can carry, the house owner needs not to shout. All we have to do is sit back and watch how they intend to carry out this electoral stealing. We are not, I repeat, we are not calling for protests. We are not calling for any violence. It is the Nigerian state that is the specialist in the heart of violence, not we, the victims.
Thank you, David. Okay, any more questions? Okay.
My name is Kenneth. I report for AT. I just got a message from our correspondent at the Coalition Center that PDP and Labour Party has staged a walkout. Another party. So, is that the decision of the PCC here? And what is the exact message that you are sending out with that?
Well, you have responded to that area. We are in support of the step you've taken. We are here, so we would have been able to partake in the workout. If we were there, we would have also stayed there. We are fully in support of what they have done. I think that answers your question. It's an adequate response to the travesty that Nigeria is going through. And in such a response, if there's anything more that you can do to register our displeasure at this time. We need probably more of that, and if not more. And as a matter of fact, such things we are doing it on behalf of when they provoke public, when they see us taking measures like that, their anger is a bit assuaged. So when the manner of speaking, standing between them, between the government, the electoral agency, and the range of the public. And there is just there's a limit to which that can be carried out.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, you can start.
I would just want to point out to the DG, as I look at the IREV of INEC now, there are over 176,846 polling units in the country. Submitted results as of now, as I speak to you, are 62,150. Does INEC have all the timeline in the world to fulfill this?
Yeah, you see, look, we've solved the clarification before. Who decides and what does it not say about the uploading of collation of results? Does it give the INEC the latitude to determine the length of time it can do so or not? Our own reading of the law is that once the result is released and accepted at the polling unit level, that result should be immediately uploaded for homeward transmission through all the processes we go to get to the headquarters. That has not happened. INEC has behaved in a lot of very quite arbitrary manner in the way it has acted and the way it is conducting its affairs in the country, which clearly the law that does not permit it to do. There is the unresolved question about the logo of our contestants, the down ballot contestants, in the National Assembly, the senatorial and House of Rep candidates, whose names or whose photographs were missing. And then the responsibility of bringing that out to the attention of the public was left to us. Now, INEC claimed that it was a product of the judgment of the appeal court at a time requesting that, saying that some candidates were barred from contesting. Thereafter, the final arbiter, the Supreme Court of Nigeria, gave a contrary judgment and directed that those names should be included. This, to my knowledge, was about 2 weeks ago. Insufficient enough time for INEC to have rectified the error. Now, is it because eventually when it was brought to their notice, they apologized, but they said it was not a mistake. What they wanted to do was they have made provisions of cumbersome things that voters are expected to do if they wanted to vote for those people. But of course, I mean, what a responsible organization should have done, if you could not prevent it, was to upfront, announce to the public that, look, there is an omission here, inadvertent or unwitting here, and this is how, we want it to be addressed. You do not wait for the victim to come to you that something is wrong here. So, INEC is, sorry to say, it's the conduct of this electoral agency is abysmal, and that's a potential of throwing Nigeria into chaos. We are not the Nigerian electorate who went to the vote; they are the victims, and it is within their rights and privilege to react to do what they think is. You are robbing them of their rights and privileges the way this election is being conducted. the way their rights are being treated, the way their will is being potentially subverted. So there's a difference here between the villains and the victims. And the attention should be focused on those potential villains and potential villains to do the right thing. Thank you very much.
All right. Which media house? So? This is not a public, this is not a public conference, it's a press conference. If you don't report for any media house, I'm sorry. Sorry, cut it off, I'm sorry. Please, cut it off. I'm sorry. We can't do that. All right.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming. The press conference is over.
Thank you, everyone. So that's it.